Hello, welcome to. Oh no, you need to put it back, Max. I think we didn't quite see it. So, welcome to episode 210 of Quarkus Insights. We're going to be talking about JavaFX with Clément de Tastes, and we have the lo-fi screen because it turns out that if your mouse slips slightly when you're about to put the title screen on, you end up deleting the title screen, and then it's gone forever. So we're doing it old school and old style. But everything else is going to be cool and awesome. So welcome, Clément.
Hello.
So perhaps to start, since we don't have the nice piece of paper that sort of gives the introduction to you, you could tell us a little bit about your background and how you got involved with Quarkus and JavaFX.
Yeah, so I've been working on Java technologies for about more than 15 years. So I'm a full stack developer, architect, tech lead. And I've worked the most part of my career in military apps, applications with a lot of constraints, high availability, low time of response, lots of constraints. And we used a lot of Swing and JavaFX for the UI part. So that was what I did for 15 years. Then I moved to a smaller company, which is called Siam. Maybe you have heard of it. And I've been working on the Quarkus framework for quite a while, and I really enjoy working with Quarkus. And about the extension itself, I think that's maybe a bit unexpected to marry JavaFX and Quarkus. But it started, I was writing a JavaFX application for DevOps France, where Siam, we have a stand, and we wanted to run a Java quiz. So I created the JavaFX application, and I was telling myself, well, I really need, I would like to use dependency injection, stuff like that. That is provided by Arc in Quarkus. And I said, why not? Anyway, that's a fun program. I'm doing it for fun, so let's try to do it. And if we want to use JavaFX in a Quarkus application, we run into multiple issues that we need to tackle. Maybe I will talk about it a bit later. And anyway, it was a good choice because the application got bigger because we decided afterwards to add a multiplayer mode. So we needed a server, we needed a REST client, we needed more stuff, more features, and all of them were provided by Quarkus extensions, which are quite rich. So that was nice to have the entire Quarkus ecosystem brought into the application. So started a bit like that. And so we created the extension and got published.
Yes, yeah, it's awesome because I remember it was actually one of my early, when I joined onto Quarkus, I was like, hey, because my background, like way back, was similar to, I didn't do military, it's healthcare, but that was also a Swing app. I haven't done too much JavaFX, but a little bit. And I always wondered, like, hey, why can't I do that? I want to have that access. But I got stuck in, how do I solve the FML stuff? Because that's very dynamic. Because I wanted to get to native image. But that's why I think, I can't remember, was that you or I posted somewhere, hey, if you have a JavaFX, I think it's an issue support somewhere. And it was like dormant for a year or two. And then you or someone else just said, hey, I have this stuff working. I'm like, yeah, let's go. And then just see what gets done.
Yeah, there was a thread which was kind of dormant for a while in the GitHub repo. But some guys already did some stuff, but it was not finished. So I based the start of the extension was based on some of the work that was done before, and I was able to bring it to an extension, a working extension. So yeah, it started like that back in time.
And how old is the extension now?
It's a bit more than a year
cool.
and a half, maybe.
I thought it was older than that.
Is it more? It's like
maybe 2 years.
It came. Yeah, I think 2 years, but yeah. But it was like we got the first one working, and I was like, oh, we can do a REST client call inside a Quarkus app. And then Clément and others were doing fixes, and then now it's like usable, and it's you can build apps with it. But I'm curious. I haven't. It's been a while since I tried it again. I did a little bit with. There's a guy in Red Hat who's been doing an LLM chatbot using the JavaFX extension. He'll be on sometime in the future. I forgot the exact date. But that was my last. I was playing. I was like, oh, this actually just kind of works. But I'm curious about I didn't get to try native mode and dev mode and that stuff. But I'm curious to see what challenges you had. So maybe. Yeah, so that's very good.
Yeah,
so
I had a look at LLMFX that will be discussed in another episode because I'm a bit curious of what people can do with the extension, what kind of applications they can write. And I tried it, and I also made some small contributions to it. And it's really nice because you can use the LangChain4j extension that is bundled into the Quarkus extension. So once again, you benefit from stuff from the ecosystem. It's not just about integrating JavaFX. It's about also benefiting from the rich catalog of extensions.
Yeah, it's that multiplier effect, isn't it? Where you were able to build on, what was started by someone else, and then once you've done that, then you can bring in the rest of the ecosystem, and then it also sort of means for Quarkus users, there's the whole JavaFX ecosystem as well. I can't remember the name of it, but a couple of years ago at DevNexus, I saw one of the keynotes was someone who was using JavaFX for some kind of scientific computing, like genome mapping or something. And so it was, they needed to do these incredibly complex, multi-dimensional visualizations. And so he built all these JavaFX libraries for doing this kind of graphing. And they were so, impressive.
So kind of do I'm just curious about the use case you had. So you didn't use it. Currently, your JavaFX use case is for fun. You don't have it professionally anymore.
No, it's not used on any professional or commercial app developed, but that's used on an application that is run every year. We can say every year now because it was 2 years in a row in DevOps. Understand it works all the day long, so it's working, and it's a multiplayer app now. So we can say that it's in prod. It's
No, and I like the fact that the LMFX, like the fact that you can actually ship something that you don't have to use a specific browser, you don't have to, and it just kind of, that if you can run this, you have access to everything. And I'm always curious because I like mobile developed apps, I like web apps, but I also like on-device apps, like a desktop app or even a phone, that kind of thing. And even though JavaFX is kind of deprioritized, it's still there's still the whole Gluon and JavaFX still maintained by Oracle. It's just not getting the same attention as it could before. And there is some use case just nicer to do this way. So,
this desktop application, they don't have the same hype or success as web application, and this can easily be understood. But there are lots of usages for desktop application, and we have some advantages like using the same language for front end and back end. You have easier access to file system and stuff like that, which is much more complicated when you are doing some web applications. And maybe many applications are not so visible because they are used by companies internally or some not visible. The military apps that I mentioned, other apps, they are not very visible. But anyway, the JavaFX is maintained, as you can see in every release. No breaking changes, but it's maintained, it's stable, it's great to use.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point about it being used in those sort of non-visible applications, because I guess kind of one of the things that the web applications make really, really easy is distribution. So if you're going to distribute something widely, maybe you would go that way. But if you are distributing it to a controlled audience or deploying it on a controlled set of devices, then you'd be more likely to choose JavaFX, but you'd also be less visible to the rest of the ecosystem.
Yeah.
And it's and the fun thing with the AI, the fun thing with the AI stuff is their biggest app. Well, of course the web app is big, but they also all ship a desktop app because they want to interact with the actual like OS and screens and that stuff, and that's also viable with JavaFX, and you have access to Java. So yeah, it's I think there'll be we'll see. It's if JavaFX is going to have a reborn, but yeah. Well, maybe you want to, show what you can do with JavaFX or stuff you might have prepared.
Yeah.
Now we have finally something new.
Yeah.
It'll be good to show.
Let's see some demos.
Yeah. Okay. What I will be showing you first. It's okay. You see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the documentation page of the extension. It just quickly tells how to add the extension, which is quite easy if you are using Maven or Gradle. You just add the dependency. And the main reason I started the extension was I wanted to use stuff like that. I wanted to inject services in my controllers. Controllers, they are created by the JavaFX runtime. So it's not managed by Quarkus. It's not a CDI bin. So you cannot inject stuff into it. You cannot benefit from all the CDI features like events and injecting stuff inside, or using configuration. I like using microprofile, for instance, which is another extension. So I wanted to do that. And to do that, I needed to create an extension that make controllers CDI bins. So that's basically one of the features of the extension. It does it for you, so you can just inject services into your controllers. There is a second thing that is needed when you want to use JavaFX in a Quarkus application is just starting the application. When you write a JavaFX application, you have to call a launch method from the application class, which is a JavaFX class. You can usually inherit from it and call the launch method. But when you are using a Quarkus app, the application launch is already managed for you. So this kind of synchronization or wedding between Quarkus and JavaFX is made thanks to the extension. So maybe I can show you one of the samples. So you have some samples. If you download the source code, or if you have a look at the extensions code on GitHub, I provided some samples so you can have a look on how to do it, or use it, or how to use some extensions in your JavaFX Quarkus project. And there is a one that is quite useful, is you want to use a REST client into your application. So there is a controller, and you can, as I mentioned, inject some service. And if I just show you, there is not much on the UI, but that's the FX application. And when I click on the button, I will call my service, which will do some REST calls. It's connected to the Star Wars API right now. So if I click on it, I fetch some data thanks to a REST call. So that's some stuff that you can do. If you have a look at the code, you have your classic fXML callback. So that's the action that is called when I click on my button. And then I can, of course, use my service, and I did some reactive stuff with Mutiny to fetch the results and populate my UI with the results.
And by the way, is it all field injection? I guess it is, because there's no method parameter handling. You can't, like, could you on button click have had like add config or add REST client or that kind of thing? You have to do it at the field level, right?
Yeah, I didn't try it. I just did some field injection, but you can use. There is no reason why you cannot use all the CDI features. But
Yeah.
this method that you are seeing is JavaFX callback. The only parameter that can be added is the event. It would be a JavaFX event if you need some information from the event. So you have to respect the signature. But then inside it, you can use everything that you need. So so yeah, that's one of the feature. And just to show you, maybe not everyone is familiar with JavaFX and FXML. JavaFX provides a way to have decoupled UI and logic. We can say like it. In the resources, I have my UI that is written as some XML file. Thankfully, this XML content can be generated for you. I've been using Gluon Scene Builder, which is a WYSIWYG software that lets you create user interfaces in a graphic way, and then it generates the FXML for you. And then the FXML is loaded by the JavaFX runtime, and all the UI and scene graph components are dynamically created at runtime. And that's what is nice about JavaFX. So you can focus on UI, and then you can write the logic and get all your UI elements injected.
Nice.
Yeah. So these UI fields are injected by the JavaFX runtime, and this is injected by Quarkus. So yeah, we needed to make it work together, and it's done thanks to the extension. I can show you more stuff that is allowed thanks to the extension.
So just remind me, because I know when I looked at this, like before it existed, there was some, I forgot, there was a project that added like injection support for Spring and Micronaut. It's not one project, but they're using the same mechanism, but that was at runtime, I think. Is this using the same thing, or is it a very different?
No, it's not very different. And indeed, Gluon provided support for frameworks such as Spring, maybe, I don't remember which one, Dagger maybe. But there was nothing for JavaFX. And if you want to have a look on how it's made, it's not that complicated. Yeah, basically, the FXML loader, it's a JavaFX class that we use to load the FXML files and build your UI with it. And we want to make it a CDI bin. So basically, that's how it's made. We produce it. We have also some stuff in the processor at build time, but it will be done at runtime anyway. That's not very build time optimized, but that was the way I found to make it work. So yeah, when you want to load FXML to instantiate and create the controller, it will go through the factory, etc. It will be a CDI bin. and then you will be able to benefit from dependency injection, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, you don't do the build time stuff. Yeah,
Not
that's
much.
you know, I think, yeah, because it would be really awesome if the XML loading was done at build time, because you don't need to change that. That's so standard.
And that's an idea that came from a guy that you might know, which is named Halvard Stradberg. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. That's the guy from Plant UML. Maybe it rings a bell to you. And he it looks like he does some JavaFX stuff, and we had some discussion on the GitHub. And he wrote his own fxml loader. So there is he does the parsing himself, and he wanted the parsing to be done ahead of time. So at build time, you do all the fxml parsing, you build your scene graph, and when you run the app, everything is ready, and it boots fast with low memory footprint. But it's quite complicated because you really have to rewrite the entire fxml loader, and you have to maintain it. And I think that's a really high maintenance cost, development cost that you have to maintain over time. I think that's a brilliant idea, but I don't really see the need for it right now because it requires a lot of work. So that's a really nice idea that could be one day maybe added to the extension. Maybe we could have two fxml loaders, the default one from JavaFX and a custom one that would be provided by the extension. But the amount of work is quite huge.
I think it'd be. So I haven't tried his. He made a PR for it, right?
He didn't make a PR, but he has his own repos where his code is public. You can see his parser, his generator, but it's basically just generating Java code in a text way. So that's not fully complete. And there is one issue that I tried to play a bit with it. When you build the application, what the fxml, I tried to use, how it's called, when you build extensions, you have recorders. That's to generate bytecode for you. It tries to instantiate UI elements, and you need some graphic environment for it. So when you build the application from command line, it just doesn't work because we need all the UI context to be present, and it doesn't work. So I think there are quite a lot of difficulties to overcome, but that might be doable. But I don't see the immediate need for it, so I didn't do it myself. But maybe one.
Well, the needed the startup for even in JVM should be quite fast.
Yeah, without reflection.
So
no reflection, less object instantiations and parsing of XML files, which can be quite
But that's the question I see Dr. Allen is asking. Is like, he says, John, can we do native compiled JavaFX now without using Gluon? Do you know? Done native?
I didn't try it myself. I know that I tried to get some feedbacks from users that were able to build a native executable from their JavaFX applications. It's quite tricky because there is a lot of reflection and stuff to do. Gluon provides some extension to help you for that. And I didn't try Quarkus yet. We had plans for it, but that's a bit tricky as well.
I think the important thing to know is so to answer the doctors, we don't. The Quarkus FX is still not native first.
We can say that.
But I do believe that it should be possible to make like at least some basic JavaFX compile to native. But the stuff that Gluon really does well, and the problem there is the license is GPL something, but it's the so you can do it, but I think Gluon doesn't do anything magical. Where it becomes well, the Gluon does something extra is in the phone. Like you run on a phone, you have the direct access to the gyroscope and other stuff in it. That's at least my understanding. But again, I haven't tried either. But it would be great to someone to even how to use Gluon with this, because there's nothing special.
It might be that could be entirely integrated without using Gluon, but we could integrate stuff into the extensions. The first thing that comes into my mind is you will be doing some fxml stuff. There is a lot of reflection, and it doesn't work well with native, because you need to have all these exclusions, because we can't have some dynamic stuff at runtime using native executables. So we could. I know that users that built their own JavaFX application, they use the GraalVM agent to generate all the exclusions configuration, and we should have such stuff done by the extension. All of the JavaFX reflection could be managed by the extension, so that would do a lot of stuff for you.
Exactly.
Maybe one day I will play with it.
So if anyone is up for it, there's now a place to go and contribute.
Yeah, that's one good thing about it. It's a community project. It's open source, so every great idea or contribution is welcome and would likely be integrated in the extension if it works and does the job. So
because I guess it should just be to run something like the Graal native agent or something, and just dump in. And it might not be pretty and might not be optimized.
Yeah.
But it will be a native image that runs and has a faster, well, at least in theory, a much faster start than the one you have.
Yeah, I mean, that's such a nice use case for this, to have an application that you can just start on the CLI and it's just up, and then it's got that UI.
Yeah.
So, and I even had fun with in the LMF stuff. You can have yours. So here it's a JavaFX app, and it's actually embedding the web component. Show rendered content, right? But that app itself can also be a server, right? So you have everything in one, and you can do some interesting use cases. So it's a fun setup. Yeah.
I can show you some more stuff that we can do with the extension. We have this handy annotation, which is called @runoff on fx thread. There is one important stuff that you need to respect when you are doing UI stuff. It's applicable for Swing and JavaFX as well. If you are doing some processing on UI stuff on the scene graph, you have to do it in the JavaFX application thread. When you are using Swing, you have a Swing utilities.invoke later that allows some amount of work to be done in the proper UI thread. And there is the same stuff for JavaFX. When you, for instance, in my small example, when I get results from my REST code and I want to update my UI, I will need to do it in the JavaFX application thread. Otherwise, you can lead to many issues. So we added this annotation, which takes benefits from interceptors. That are a cool feature. So for instance, so that's the documentation. Yeah, basically, this method, we want it to be called inside the JavaFX application thread. So we can just annotate it with the annotation, and the interceptor will ensure it's called into a proper thread. So when you write your code, maybe I will show you another example on the REST stuff. Yeah.
Yet another, which we have, like when I explain to people that get confused about mutiny and reactive, it's just, hey, think about when you do swing. It's the same. There's a place where you can do stuff, and that works.
So you basically, when you click your button, you are doing some REST call, which is an IO blocking IO. So you don't want to do it in the UI thread. You do it on a business thread. And when you get the result, you update your UI in the proper thread, and you can use the annotation. It makes the code maybe easier to read without having to write platform.run later.
I didn't really. This just shows how I just tried this demo. I'm like, oh yeah, it's cool. Yeah, you're actually mixing, like you could have run this completely empirically, but you're actually mixing mutiny, what's it called, failure handling and updates with CDI events and this stuff. Yeah, it makes it. Yeah, that's a lot of boilerplate that just goes away. That's nice.
Yeah, so that's a really small addition to the extension, but since you are benefiting from ARC and CDI features and interceptors, so yeah, that's the nice kind of things that can be added. Also, for instance, there is one service which is called host services. That's this class, which is a JavaFX class, which is supposed to be, you are supposed to get an instance from the JavaFX application, etc. But that's a bit complicated when you are inside a Quarkus application. So we just basically make it an injectable bean. So that's the producer from the extension. But when you want to have the instance of this JavaFX host services class, you can now just inject it. So that's some of the small benefits that you get from using the extension.
Very cool.
Something that is quite interesting and that I'll use a lot in my DevOps quiz application is what is called conventional views. So basically, once again, the goal is to remove some boilerplate code. So basically, what you will be doing most of the time, you will be designing your UI in SceneBuilder. You will connect it to a controller that will do all the interactions between the UI and the rest of the application. But there is some boilerplate stuff to do, like loading the FXML, loading some resource bundle. For instance, if you are doing some multi-language internationalization stuff. And we just want to avoid doing all this boilerplate code. So we added this smaller annotation. It's really easy to use. For instance, there is one example in the samples. You can just annotate your controller with it, and it will automatically load everything that match on naming conventions. For instance, this controller will be called sample. We just get rid of the suffix. So we have this sample.fxml, and it will be automatically loaded with CSS if there is, internationalization if there is. So basically, when you write your code, so of course that's really minimalistic, but there is absolutely no boilerplate code. You're just focusing on the value of your app, avoiding to manually load some FXML by their names and stuff like that. So I used it a lot in my DevOps app. Maybe I can show you a bit of the app.
And it's exactly sort of what Quarkus is supposed to be doing, and what extensions are supposed to be doing, is just doing those optimizations to get rid of the boilerplate that doesn't add value.
Yeah. So that's the code of our Devox quiz. I will run it just to show you how it looks. It's going to be written all in French. I'm sorry, but it was really dedicated for a French audience. So it's supposed to be displayed on a big TV screen. So when people come to the stand, they can see the categories and questions, and they can participate. So basically,
I can't find the Quarkus category. What's wrong?
Sorry?
I'm just making fun. I'm saying I'm missing the Quarkus category.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's funny because we initialized one, and we didn't really have time to fill it with questions. So we did a lot of Java-related questions because I worked with Jean-Michel Doudou, which is a colleague of mine, a French Java champion, which is really good at writing really nice and tricky questions. And he did write a lot of tricky questions. There are the Jedi and Jedi categories, which are quite hard. But there is a Spring one, I'm sorry. but maybe next year in Devox, we will have a Quarkus category, hopefully. But as you can see, there is this small Quarkus logo at the bottom right. It's powered by Quarkus and JavaFX.
Yeah.
That's what counts.
Yeah, that counts. So, okay. I am allowed to continue.
Yeah. Oh, good.
I like. Oh, I was too slow. I love that garbage collector logo with the little eyes.
Yeah. So basically, that's the single player mode. But basically, we are showing some tricky questions. You pick the answers like that. When you are doing some multiplayer, it's a bit funnier because you scan some QR code, you play with your mobile, and it sends your answers to the server, and at the end you get everyone got the results. We'll be skipping the quiz. So we have stuff like that. We are using charts. Yeah, that's kind of basic JavaFX application.
And you didn't need to worry about the French. So someone's just posted and they've pointed out that French comes from Latin, so anyone can understand it.
Yeah. So yeah, I can show you a bit of code. That's the one. So let's say like anything that is suffix controller. So yeah, basically you have the controller, you just use the annotation. It will automatically load the fxml. You can inject stuff, the Quarkus scheduler, for instance. You can produce CDI events, all the stuff that you like to use when you write CDI applications, and Quarkus extensions. Of course, you have all your UI elements that are injected because you are in a controller. And yeah, it just works. Yeah, so pretty much it about the app.
I mean, yeah, it makes so much sense that if you're going to have a non-trivial UI app, it's going to be interacting with something, and for that interaction, then you want that injection and those other features that you get from middleware.
Yeah. It really helps developing a clean app with proper architecture and injection stuff. Really, I like it.
And how about dev mode?
Yeah. That's so tricky point. It's not fully supported. It's still kind of opened. We have two main issues. The first one is that when you are using dev mode and when you are doing changes, it gets hot reloaded, which is quite nice, but the application is restarted under the hood. And JavaFX applications can only be started once. That's a limitation. If you call the launch method more than once, it will basically fail and throw an exception. So we don't want to do that. So the extensions takes care of not relaunching the app multiple times. So if you use the extension and you do some hot reload stuff, it will not crash. It will not reload or open your UI multiple times. It will just ignore the subsequent launches calls. And it's kind of tricky because when you are doing some backend changes and they get hot reloaded, it's obvious that we want instantly these changes. But for UI, if you have some UI opened, you are inside a menu, you are doing some stuff. If you are doing some changes, what do you want? What is the behavior that you want? You want the UI to be closed and relaunched, and you need to restart from scratch what you were doing in the UI. That's kind of tricky, just in terms of user experience.
Yeah.
But, go on.
But so you're saying right now, if I start with a Quarkus FX app in dev mode, it will basically ignore the reloads? So is there any reload?
No. It's not ignored. The application, the UI part is not relaunched.
Yeah.
So your controllers, they will just stay the same.
Okay, so if I'm changing my backend code, like
if you are doing changes to your service, on your business part of the app, it will get reloaded. So that works. But there is one more limitation.
Yeah.
Since the controller is not reloaded at all, in fact, the UI will keep a reference to the old controller. Yeah. So when you will be clicking on your button, the service, the business service that you injected into your controller is the old one. So if you click on the button, even though that you updated your business service, and it will not use it. So I think we could do something in the extensions, but I have limited knowledge on the details of hot reloading. We could do something that just updates existing controllers, because they are really managed by the extension. They are known, so we have references to the controllers. So maybe we could do some stuff like, okay, it's hot reloaded. We have the new instances of injected services. We can just swap instances or do some stuff like that. I tried a bit. I have some limited knowledge about deep mechanics of reloading, so I was not completely able to do it yet. But I think that's really doable, which could be some kind of degraded hot reload.
But isn't there gonna be like mix of class loaders?
I don't know. I don't know the technical solution yet.
So I've wondered about this one, because I feel like I haven't had time to dig in, but I don't understand what is it in JavaFX that says you can't reload that twice. Like there must be some global state problem.
Yeah. Because
and I was just wondering,
I think there are lots of UI initialization and stuff like that, and they just don't want to do it twice. I don't know the details.
Because for me, the ultimate thing would be if we had that when there's like, if I press S, I'd just like to be able to say, hey, reload. I could live with the restart as long as it's new code. But I'm assuming that it'll probably just be simpler for us to just restart the app, and it'd be like S, just go restart the app again.
We could have
anyway.
configurable strategies of reload. It could be the one that doesn't restart the application. It just tries to swap injected fields with the new ones. So if you're working on the backend part of your application and not on the UI one, you want, when you click the button, you want to call the new updated service. So that would be really great And I would have loved to have it working, but it's not the case for now. And maybe we could have another strategy that just restart the app, but that can be quite long.
And I think, as you say, it could be really disruptive and not what people would expect in terms of the user experience. Because with a web application, normally, like if you're doing live coding with a web application, normally your browser is holding some state about the navigation that doesn't get lost. But if the state about the navigation is in the app, because it's a desktop app, then you lose all of that. And so then you get the situation that, you're on like question 9 of your quiz and you accidentally hit space in your IDE, and then the whole thing goes and you have to click 62 buttons to get back to where you were. So you want that partial restart, which is obviously way more complicated to implement.
To be fair, we have the same problem like with Quarkus. Like if you're actually writing a multi-step something in a wizard in the web app, you have that problem. It goes back. And we done something in Quarkus Web Components. Quarkus Web, is that what it's called? Where at least like we had when you change HTML or CSS in the old days, you'd have to actually reload the app. That's annoying. So in there, we have done for HTML, CSS, and JavaScript changes. It will not do the full thing. But yeah, you completely correct, Holly, that when the whole thing is fully owned on the desktop, it becomes tricky.
This can really be disruptive indeed.
Yeah. So
and anyway, that's not on the UI part. That's really not possible from JavaFX itself. If you are changing, live changing some UI stuff, there is just no way to have it instantly updated, hot reloaded. So that's possible for web frameworks, modern ones, because that's a need that every developer has. But for JavaFX, that's not just possible by the framework itself. But yeah, maybe we could do some compromise. I mean, having the backend part getting reloaded and not the UI part, which would be a huge improvement on productivity when you are developing your app. And I think that's doable. I think it's kind of tricky, but I don't see any major stuff that would prevent from doing it. For instance, in the code that I'm showing, the controller, the UI that will be launched, it's not launched anymore. I don't know. The button on the UI will call this controller, and the injected instance of app service is the old one, as I mentioned. So maybe we could do something to update it to the new one.
The problem is you can do it, but if that API app service has changed signature, like if there's other classes and stuff, it's probably gonna fail. But you could probably do some proxying, but it'll be.
Yeah, because they're going to be, you're going to, like you said earlier, you're going to be changing class loaders. So then, you'd need to have like proxies in the class loaders to be able to route between them.
Yeah. Douglas had a question for us, but
more of a feature request, really.
Hey, could you invite you guys to work on an installer framework that also seamlessly and securely handles JavaFX updates? Big missing feature since web start was canned. So that's it's a very different one.
That's about like the distribution story, isn't it?
Yeah. So I have one solution. Is if you use JBang, we will always download the latest if it's changed. But that's probably not what he's after. But I've done that actually. You can take a JavaFX app or any Java app and just have it updated via JBang. But I don't know. I think there's a few closed or even open source projects that does installer stuff. But I haven't played. Have you played any of that?
If you have a look at some videos that Frank Delporte, maybe you know this guy, another Java champion that does a lot of stuff about JavaFX, and he did receive some guys that work on solutions to deploy and release and distribute your JavaFX application. I didn't use or try it myself yet, but I think there are existing stuff. Maybe you can have a look at I think it's called Quarkus. No, it's called JavaFX in Action series that is made by Frank Delporte. There might be some interesting solutions brought by users that were invited.
I think it's something like this one. Yeah, Frank Delporte.
Yeah.
How do we keep our JavaFX up to date and secure? Probably has some of that stuff in there. Yeah, but that's a whole like it would be nice to have something, but it's not even just for JavaFX, but any Java app.
Of course, that's one of the downside of desktop applications. The web ones are easy to distribute because you just basically update your server and the clients will have the new stuff. But for desktop applications, you have to find a strategy, bit yourself, how to update your clients.
And I just realized what he calls up to date and secure is actually about open read write and migrations, not. But yeah, maybe has a whole series of JavaFX and there's good stuff in it. Yeah. So I don't know of a solution for it. Well, Docker container is a solution, but I'm not sure it's a good solution to these things. But yeah, very cool. Anything else you want to show, Clément?
Yeah, quickly, maybe one small thing about the extension. The last one. From time to time, you want to ensure some synchronization between the Quarkus app starting and your UI readiness. Because when the application starts, the UI will be launched and some stuff need to be initialized. And it can happen that you are trying to do some stuff when the UI stuff is not ready yet, because it's kind of done in parallel. So there is some synchronization features brought in the extension, which is this one, the startup latch. So you can just inject it and wait on it. So if you have to do some processing that requires the UI, you can just wait on the UI being ready. It's also used inside the extension to ensure that everything gets synchronized properly, but you can use it yourself. And it was requested and used by some users. We had some discussions in the GitHub about it. So yeah, just to say that it exists. And yeah, that's basically the features. So you have lots of stuff that work already, and there is still way for improvement, especially the hot reload stuff. So yeah, still a way to improve it.
And maybe will be
And you mentioned the LLMFX that will be discussed in another episode. It's a nice example of usage of the extension. And I saw different ones. There is a one that is used to track cargoes. There is one that was created by, I think it's the Hamburg Jug leader, about some badminton stats. So he's fetching data from some badminton API and doing stuff in a desktop app. And yeah, there are some usages, interesting ones.
And I used it I made the MCP. I did the MCP JavaFX extension that lets you use JavaFX from a chat client. It's a bit of a kind of toy, but it's also using Quarkus FX and doing a similar thing. But it's definitely doable. And that one has a build that is taking the JavaFX and making not a native binary, but a binary that is possible to run for all the different platforms. But yeah, as Douglas says, it would be nice to have something like an update tool for these apps. But yeah, for now you have to download them. Cool. But very cool, Clément. And Quarkus FX is the extension name.
Yeah.
And if one is up to improve stuff or make examples with this, you know, that would be really cool to see and hear. And yeah, so yes, basically, at least my experience, but you can tell me if I'm wrong here. Tell me, it's like if you've done JavaFX before, you now have JavaFX with full dependency injection access to the whole Quarkus universe, and it is as fast/slow as normal JavaFX development. Like you have to wait for the build and restart. There's no hard reload, that kind of thing. But so it's not like you're winning there. You win the access to the ecosystem, and you can reuse your same dependency framework and that kind of thing.
That's a good summary.
And that has value. So yeah. And yeah, very cool. Okay, I guess we used up our hour of things. Any questions for you, Holly?
No, they're super interesting. Thank you very much, Clément.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So when are you doing it in Quarkus? That was a question for you.
Sorry, I thought it was a question for Clément. Sorry, what was the question?
No. I was just so when is your first desktop app from with Quarkus? So
I'm curious to have a try with it.
Yeah. Cool. And by the way, just because we have a tradition to ask for this now, I just remember. Does it implement anything in DevUI?
Not yet. I tried. I was starting to have a look and maybe show the controllers or the FX views that are managed by the extensions, because the extensions has its hands on it. So I could do that, but I need to do some UI template stuff to this to. But maybe that could be a great way for me to learn how to integrate some new stuff into the DevUI. But I don't see any strong need of having it. But
I know it's just one of those. Well, you can always go re-implement the DevUI JavaFX and see what happens. That's also not a good idea, but it's a fun one. Cool. But anyway, Clément, thanks for pushing Quarkus to its limits, or JavaFX. I'm not sure which one it is, but probably both in this case. And as I said, we will have the LLM. So the name has to change. LLMFX, when there's like 5 what they call acronyms. A bit hard. So cool. So thanks, Clément, and we'll see you around.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
See you.
Bye bye.